how's it going? So today what we're going to do is we're just going to browse Facebook and some of the trucking groups and just go over some, I guess, comments or posts that people have put out. And it's pretty disheartening when you read some of these um, that there's guys hurting this bad and they just they just simply can't make it. So if you could, please subscribe, smash the like button. It definitely helps the algorithm out and might propel me hopefully over the 10,000 subscriber mark. So we're going to get right into this. So here's the first one I'm going to read. Hey guys, need a little advice. I paid off my truck and trailer. I haul step deck. I was told once I paid off my truck, I'd start making money. I run off the load boards and have been driving now for over a year and a half. I'm only averaging about $2 a mile. I'm trying to get more, but it seems to be the best I can where I live. I live in my truck. I have no car payments, no house payments, and at the end of the month, I'm breaking even. I had to borrow money from my parents to get fuel to run this week. What am I doing wrong? That's pretty bad. Definitely, he's either, I don't know what kind of truck he has or whatnot, but he's definitely either putting a lot of the money into his tank, or he's having a lot of breakdowns. Maybe he's buying a lot of food on the road. He's definitely, that money's going somewhere. You know, $2 a mile isn't great, but it should at least be able to put some money in your pocket without, without having a car payment and whatnot. So let's go through some of the comments here of what people are saying. Here's a few people are saying they should be running a Cascadia, better fuel mileage. Like I said, let's see. Maybe I could try to find out what truck he has. Oh, also on top of that, he runs under his own authority. So I'd imagine he has insurance costs and everything on top of that. So that's a little bit more insightful. Now, what I would want to know is, first, like I said, what truck he's pulling, and how's he only averaging $2 a mile hauling step deck? Is he tarping? Does he want to tarp? Is he hauling oversize? You know, there's a lot of things you could do here. Let's see. So, apparently there's a little more insight onto this. Apparently, he was in business for 15 years. He's run 20 trucks before. And now he's having to borrow money from fuel, is what one person said. Yeah, okay, so I had to downsize because of brokers and constantly not paying and undercutting the rates over the years. In fact, the last year has been the worst I've ever seen. So there we go. So apparently this guy went from 20 trucks to now having to borrow money off his parents. So quite possibly there might be an underlying issue. You would think in 15 years you would figure something out. But anyway, I'm going a little off the deep end here with this because the comments just keep going. But the point I'm trying to put out is, as you can see, that guy apparently went from having 20 trucks to down to one, and within the last year or two has now resorted to having to borrow money off his parents. It's not really a laughing matter. It's actually pretty sad. A lot of people come into this, in my opinion, with the wrong mindset. They think they're going to become filthy rich, that it's just going to be like they're going to, in one year they're going to go from having one truck to 40 trucks to maybe 10 years down the road being the next Swift. And it doesn't really work out that way. Like I've said before, it's a lot about who you know, the connections you can make, I wouldn't say friends, but like I said, like true connections. A lot of it also is about saving money, budgeting, knowing where your money's going. And the problem is everyone comes on YouTube. They see, well, they don't usually look at this stuff. They see these hustling uh, content creators that come on and say, give me $10,000 or give me a couple $100 and I'll show you how to build a multi-million-dollar trucking business. And well, the thing I want to ask is, then why are you here on YouTube if you can just randomly build multi-million-dollar trucking businesses? Why aren't you building your multiple multi-million-dollar trucking businesses? And to be honest, when you say multi-million-dollar trucking business, you can have a multi-million-dollar trucking business and be making money and have multi-million dollars owed to you by brokerages and customers. Well, so do you actually have the cash flow? Is it actually going into your pocket? Or are you running off of credit? There's a lot of guys I've seen on here that, they factor and stuff, but is your money really that safe? Look at all the stuff that's been happening with DAT and stuff lately. So I guess what I would like to put out is, if you're new and you're coming into this to be an owner operator, don't worry, don't worry about the flashy truck. Don't worry about, technically the money you're going to be making. First learn what your expenses are going to be. Then go from there. Find out what your expenses are going to be and what you need to run. Whether that be, and when I mean that, if you have a family and home expenses, you have to add all that in there, because you're going to have to pay yourself somewhat of a salary to make your life floatable, I guess I could say. Now, I'm not talking about make millions of dollars and start buying brand new Silverados and side-by-sides and boats and all this crap that you'll see guys come on YouTube and they're like, yeah, I'm an owner operator, or I got a small fleet, and here's my bass boat, and here's my new Silverado, my new F-350 and stuff. Those guys are already set, and they made it. That's they're entertaining. Most of the time, if they do, usually they don't. If they do give out some business experience or some advice, it's very, I wouldn't say one-sided, but it's just very narrow-minded. It doesn't take into account what a lot of guys are really already facing out here. And I'm not saying they're bad channels. Like, some of them are good and they're good people. It's just that they've got more caught up in the entertainment and less in, actually knowing really what their audience is experiencing. And unfortunately, knowing how gullible their audience is, I should say. And the problem is, we all see these rate, not the rates, but the rates that people post and how much money you can make. And, we're making $10,000 a month here, and we're making, $20,000 a month here, and yada, yada, yada. And that's all the guys see. And they get their CDL. Let's say they worked at like a retail store or something, and they get their CDL, and they go from making, $400, $500, $600 a week to maybe making $1,000 a week as a company driver. Or they go and get a lease purchase, and they're, netting, I shouldn't say, I guess netting. They're netting like $1,400, $1,500, $1,600. They're not really thinking about their taxes. They're not putting money away right for their taxes. They don't got an accountant. And they think they're on, high roller street, and they go out and they get a newer apartment and newer cars, and they just waste that money. And then what happens? Next thing you know, they run with their company, and they get sent out to Arizona or something, and now they're sitting there for 2 or 3 days, and they are going to have a $1,500 to $1,600 truck payment at the end of the week and whatnot. We all know the whole lease game. And now they're freaking out. They don't know what to do, or they get near the end of their lease, and the company starts starving them. We're not even going to get into, whether or not they're getting rate confirmations and know what they're exactly getting paid. So I'm not trying to take the wind out of your sails. I'm not trying to, there are sometimes glory parts in trucking, where you go somewhere and then you, at the end, you go to like Yellowstone, you're great, everything's great, the wind's in your hair, you got your arm out the window, sunglasses on, You feel you're seeing things you've never seen, and then at the end of the week you get your settlement, and it's like a $4,000 or $5,000 settlement. Those are the great part. The great parts about trucking. They do happen, but they're not as frequent as everyone says, and you got to actually work for that. You can't be buying bass boats and doing things right off the bat. You have to build your way to that. You have to build your way to like financial. I would like to say sovereignty, but like financial. Well, I don't know. We'll call it just having a nest egg. All right, you got to be able to literally put an engine in your truck at any given time. And I don't mean really technically finance one. I mean at least put like 80% down if you had to put an engine in. This is the smarter way of running it. Sure, you can run off credit cards, you can do all that, but the problem is if things keep getting worse, technically you'll be in probably a boat that I'm in. You'll basically be running to pay other people's payments. I will say, because I know from experience, because like I said, I've practically been like that guy. I've had employees. I've been making money before, and I watched it all disappear out, right from under my eyes. And now thinking about it, maybe I didn't work hard enough. Maybe there's other things I could have done. I didn't want to keep taking risks. Maybe that was the problem. I didn't try to push forward like I did when my 9400, the engine blew up. This was a big risk, getting this brand new T680. So far, it's had its ups and downs, but I've been persevering, and now I'm working probably 10 times harder than I've ever worked, at least being an owner-operator. And it's paying off right now. Like the shovel has gotten bigger, and I am digging my way out of the hole that I'm in. But I have a lot of old debt. The old 9400 I'm still paying for. I'm basically paying lenders. And kind of like what I want to get through, I don't want to like turn this into a Dave Ramsey rant. But if you're giving your money away to everybody else, how are you building your nest egg? How are you able to take that money and invest it? If you're just paying your money out to, truck payment, business card, and then to have the market change and fluctuate as bad as it can in trucking, that is a bad place to be. To be able to go from, making profits to, for what, a year, to spending a whole year having to borrow money from your parents for fuel. It's not a good place to be. And a lot of that, the market fluctuates due to demand and whatnot. And right now, it's over capacity with trucks, and the freight's just simply not there. It's starting to level back. It is starting to. But YouTube, I have a feeling that it has had a detrimental impact on this business. For all the good it's brought in, I have a feeling that there are other actors on YouTube that are making more money selling guys systems or just basically telling them how trucking works. Now, I'm not saying everyone that does this is evil, but I'm saying they make more money off of this than they do probably even trucking, or a sizable amount. Now, I'm fine with it if you're just generally giving good information and paying for your time. But when you start asking for, investments into your business or whatnot, or no touch, I've seen that, no touch trucking businesses and things like that. That's when you're starting to get a little out there. And that people would trust somebody off of YouTube that much to just start handing over thousands of dollars. I don't know. I know it kind of sounds a little hypocritical because technically, I do make revenue off of, it's not a lot, maybe a couple $100 every couple months off of YouTube. But I don't try to actively solicit money or, work people up into a frenzy that they think that they got to become owner operators right now and they got to buy a system or whatnot. So, like I said, this is all interconnected. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here, but it it all connects into, your financial freedom, really. Uh, if you have the time and the dedication to become an owner operator, and you're not going to put yourself into crazy debt, and you can figure your costs out, and you feel that you can do it, go ahead and do it. But if you're going to come out here not knowing anything about the industry, not knowing how rates fluctuate, not knowing, how much tires are, the list goes on, and you think you're just going to run a turnkey trucking business and open a fleet and stuff, I'm sorry, but you're setting yourself up for failure. Sure, some of you might make it. Um, if you're a Russian mobster, I don't know, Egg and Waffle Logistics and things like that. But it's the chances of that succeeding are slim to none. Look at all the problems I've had. Uh, I was on cloud nine there for a while with 2 employees, a dedicated customer. I technically, with those 2 employees, the amount of money I was making off the dedicated customer and everything, I didn't really have to work. I could have just brought in about a 95 or 100, a little over $100,000 a year salary, and just sat there. But no, I continued working along with those 2 other guys. And the problem is that only lasted 6 months. COVID hit, the election, and then truck problems on top, all that at once, and it was gone. It was gone. My little, and I had debt from that too, and I was digging my way out of debt. So I wasn't like I was making all that money. That money was being invested into paying the debt that started that, and it's gone. It's gone. I ended up saying, well, I'm not going to buy an emissions truck. I bought an older truck. Unfortunately, it was at the height of the market, and technically the truck probably wasn't worth that. If I went back a few months, I could have probably bought that truck for $12,000 cash. Instead, I paid $26,000 for it. And the truck that I wanted wasn't there. I wanted a Caterpillar with a rebuild, and it got bidded out from under me, which this was at a little dealership. So, and the rest. Constant breakdowns, things breaking. The truck was used at a Houston. I think it was. I found paperwork. I think it was used in Houston for container work. So it had its life, at least the end part of its life, beaten there. And the engine blew up and the market fell, and I couldn't refinance it through the company that I had the loan through, which they normally would. They probably would if the market was still good. It just wasn't in their interest. And so, like I said, I had all these problems, and I've been in the industry for 10 years, and I still had all these problems. Now, it might work out for you. You might just get in this and somehow get lucky and either talk to the right brokers or maybe get hooked up with the right carrier, and you might make thousands of dollars. It's a possibility, but you got to outweigh the risks. You also got to outweigh the risk of how much you have to lose. If you're a family man and stuff, that's a big risk to play. Like I know. So what I'm saying is trying to make smarter choices. Don't come into this if you're new and you want, like I said, you want to just be a truck driver and stuff. Get hooked up with the right company. Make sure you know exactly what your pay is when you start. Don't listen to any of these carrier representatives, if you want to call it that, or we'll call them recruiters. And the same thing goes for owner operators. Make sure you get your rate con, with every load that you get, whether that dedicated load with them or through a broker. Make sure you have an actual rate confirmation stating out what your rate is. Whether you're a lease purchase driver too, like if you're with Prime or something. I know they don't do that. Well, at least when I was there, they wouldn't give you one, but I don't know if they do now. I'm trying to do this from a point of, where I've had problems with and how I felt, and I want to try to relay that to you, that stress, and just reiterate that this is a business. This isn't, grab the steering wheel and just start making money. Sure, if you're an owner, if you're a company driver, yeah, I guess for the most part with some of these larger mega carriers. But as an owner or operator or even a lease purchase driver, you have to. I'm not going to say I'm going to be the best business coach, but you have to go on YouTube and find people that are large, and they might not be part of the trucking industry. Let's put it that way. They probably won't be, and you need to follow some of their teachings about managing a business. It all goes down. It's all the same stuff. You have expenses. You have cash flow problems. The list goes on. And what you need to do is you need to research that and adapt to it. And that's how you run a trucking business. You don't run it by just sitting in the steering wheel and driving. Well, that's an aspect of it. But where the real nitty gritty is how much money you can keep in your pocket. Because everybody in the trucking industry is trying to take money out of your pocket, and we let that happen. We let that happen because we have people that come on to, we'll say, certain mega carriers. They get a lease truck, and now they're a CEO. They call themselves a CEO and stuff. They really don't know what their costs are. All they know is the settlements come out, and that's it. They don't go into nitty gritty. They don't try to forecast the market. They don't try to really learn what actual costs of having an authority are. And then sometimes they do get out and they get their own truck, and then they're thrown right in the seat and they get taken advantage of. The problem is a lot of us are getting taken advantage of, and we're letting it happen because we, I guess, as owner operators, just simply don't know any better. And that's how we get taken over by brokers. That's how we get taken by mechanic shops and whatnot. We just simply don't know better. And the problem is it affects all of us because there's a large group of people that are like that. That's how we always get taken advantage of. It's like when a YouTuber says, the suit and tie guys always know the game. And that's true. That's what's happening. The suit and tie guys know the game, and they're taking advantage of us. And it spreads out through the whole industry. And until we learn or are able to educate newcomers into this, or either that or have some kind of bar set, it's always going to be like this. It's always going to be the trucking owner-operator or the fleet is the one getting taken advantage of. I tell you what, the mega carriers, some of them get taken advantage of, but they don't let that happen very often. I know I came out and said that they're the ones that set rates. And technically, yeah, they're the ones that set rates for themselves. They're almost they're like on a different playing field than owner-operators. We need to be able to set rates for ourselves. And the problem is some people that come out into this, like I said, they already have a low bar of expectations. They've come from retail and stuff, and they make a couple $100s a week, and they go from making a couple $100s a week to making $1,800 a week. And they're happy. They think that's the best. The problem is that's not really, you're not going to grow the business. You're not going to get bigger by doing that. And the only thing you're doing is you're keeping the market low, I guess you could say. It's like, I don't want to put anybody under it. And like I said, everybody has their own costs and what they have to, that they're required to live. But if you're going into this, you should be going into this to grow a business. Even if you are like an owner-operator with a one truck, eventually you should want to grow into having your own authority, grow into having many trucks. Now, like I said, it all depends on, what you're happy with and maybe who you're signed on to as a carrier, or maybe what customers you have. Like I keep always giving the example of guys that pull for co-ops. They usually know those people. They're a small knit farm community or whatnot, and they just every year it's the same customer, same stuff, and they're doing great with just one truck or two trucks or whatnot. But as a whole, sometimes in this business you have to, and on top of that, you have to know when it's a good time to grow your business. If you overgrow, you'll have exactly what happened with the gold rush here. You'll have a bunch of people that take out a lot of debt. They figure that they'll pay the trucks off, and when things, if they know better, they figure they'll pay the trucks off and the trailers, and they'll have this equipment, and when rates lower, they'll still be able to make it. The problem is they either did it at the wrong time, or they just lost sight of paying off their debt and started buying bass boats and side-by-sides and stuff, or they went out and bought the biggest, best, W900s for $300,000, and now the market's gone out. Like I said, right now is a great time to buy equipment if you have the money. If you have the money and you can sit on the equipment, or if you have some dedicated customers you could put that equipment to work with, right now is a great time to easily grow your business on pennies on the dollar. And like I said, the people that were able to keep afloat during the gold rush and didn't go out and overspend and put themselves in tons of debt, they are going to be the ones that are going to ride out of this. They're going to be the ones the phoenix from the ashes, all right, if you want to say. Like I said, you have people on here, in the comments section and stuff that, like I said, are borrowing money from their parents to pay for fuel. At that point, I would say it's probably time for him to park and sell the truck and become a company driver. But that's up to him. That's for him to decide. If he wants to really work at it, and because technically, a couple weeks ago, I thought I was going to barely make it. The point is, not everyone's going to become rich. There are winners and losers in this business. It's a sad reality. And you got to know how much risk you're willing to endure and how far you're willing to push yourself to actually keep a business. I don't care about keeping a truck. Truck's nothing. Trucks are a dime a dozen. You can get another truck. I'm talking about keeping a business and growing it and turning it into more than just a single truck carrier and, a couple $1,000s a week income. I'm talking about turning into multiple thousands, $10,000 a week, $20,000 a week, $30,000 a week, and so on and so forth. At least that's what my plan's always been. And I actually was there. I was there, and I got screwed by COVID, and just certain the customer sold, the business sold to a different firm, took it over, financial firm, and so my customer started changing rates and stuff. This can happen at any time, and it's business. Do I blame myself? Yeah. Do I blame the market too and everything? And it was just a shit show all at once. But all right, I talked enough. I mean, I've kind of bounced all over the place, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm saying. If you're struggling and it's really hurting your relationship and hurting you mentally, it might be a time to bail. Bankruptcy is an option. It sucks, but you can always come back. One thing, like I said, trucking has a kind of a low bar to enter. Me personally, I feel that maybe we should do something about that, per se. But there's a lot of pushback that I've had from other people when I say that. Like, I think it should cost a little more to get your authority. I don't know. Like I said, it's just too many people can get into this without knowing anything. They take $5,000, they slap it down on the table. Well, they slap it down over at any one of these lease purchase dealerships, Lone Mountain, etc., etc. And like I said, I think it's been hurting the industry. Unless you're bigger and you can start naming your own price and having a little bit of input in the market, I guess you'd say. But anyway, hey, this is Jackknife TV. If you like this content and you like what I'm putting out, please smash the like button, subscribe, and put down in the comments what you think. Am I being too harsh on people? Should I just shut up, considering I'm practically failing, or in my opinion, I failed. To go from having 2 employees and making the money that I was making there for about 6 to 8 months, it definitely sucks. Like I've been in a bad mood ever since that, put it that way. And then to have the problems I've had with the new truck and everything, I'm surrounded in bad luck. That too. Trucking has a lot of bad luck there. I will, at least in my opinion. So, like I said, smash the like button, subscribe, and just put down in the comments your opinions and whether or not I'm barking up the right tree or going down the right track. So, thanks for watching Jackknife TV, and I'll see you later.